Look, when I was putting today together, one of the things that I was conscious of is that we did a fair bit of talking about electric tractors and the transition to them. And it would be really useful to have someone who's been through that process and thought about it. And in scouring the world to find a contender, I managed to find Paul Van Ham over in Holland, who whose group have made one of the early sort of electric tractors that are very modern, not like the one in James Jackson's friend's shed. This is a fairly up-to-date story. So I'll just hand over to Paul. His company was MTT Tractors, multi-tool tractors, and they've recently been bought out and now operate as H2 Track. I think, Paul, is that the way it is? So yes. I'll hand over to Paul, who's just woken up. He's over in Holland and it's fairly early in the morning over there. So good morning, Paul, and welcome.
Yes, thank you a lot, John. My name is Paul Van Ham, and I will tell you something about the way we started 7 years ago with an electric tractor and how that became like that, and where we are now. And for that, I shall try to share my screen with you. Let me see.
Yeah, can start to see that, Paul?
Yes, it's there?
Yep.
Okay. Here you see our new third model in the field. And this is not the way we started. In fact, the way we started is at this page. I started 7 years ago talking with a farmer, and he had done the system of CTF on his farm. CTF means Controlled Traffic Farm. And that means that with a GPS, you always drive on the same lanes. I think for Australian farmers, CTF is well known, at least at this moment. In that time in the Netherlands, it was quite new. I think then there were some 30 arable farmers, mainly organic arable farmers, using this system. The big win in this system is that you do not compact all your soil like on the picture at the left, but you keep your tires on the fixed tracks, and that saves you a lot of land where plants can grow vividly. And the next step all these farmers in the Netherlands are making now is not to do it on the traditional track width of 160 for a tractor, a normal tractor in this country, but double it. So then you have a track width of 3.20 meters. And that gives you a good speed on the field, a good production speed, the logistic capacity on the field. So you can 3 meters do in one time just for planting, for weeding, or maybe you can double it for weeding or triple it for weeding. And also for harvesting, the 3 meter is, especially for potatoes and onions and carrots, is a very nice distance to harvest your product. The big win is a real agricultural or biological win. So when you don't compact the soil, the harvest of the product can raise up to 15 to 20%, and you do not need as much fertilizers, you do not need as much biocides to get a good crop. So there is real an agricultural driver to use this big kind of machines. We only are a small country, but not the country is small, also the fields are small, and you have to drive along the road to your field and to your farm and up and down. And in this case, these wide machines are a problem. And then the first question to us was, please make a tractor that can move its wheels from 3.25 meters on the road to 2.25 meters, because in that way we can drive safe to home. Well, that was the first question, and when we made that in our concept, these 7 farmers, at that moment I had a group of 7 farmers, they had one other question, and that was to make a real tool carrier from it. And then we made a long machine with also a position in the middle. and then we had to drive it, and then the idea came up to make it electric. So I think the first goal was to help these farmers with good machines that had a good result on their field. But the second question was to make it an electric machine. The reason why I jumped in there was that I'm a very technical guy, but I'm also an agricultural engineer. And I studied organic agriculture in the Wageningen University. And then I met a lot of farmers that are really concerned about their soil. And in my master thesis, I studied all kinds of questions around plowing and not plowing in organic agriculture. And then at least we came on the idea to do something with that fixed track system. But in that time, it was, I think, almost 40 years ago, fixed tracks was almost impossible because there was not a GPS. So I was very surprised when I came in the early 2009, 2010 on a farm in the country where they used GPS and they used that fixed controlled traffic farming, and they were very enthusiastic, but the machinery was not compliant for that. So that is in fact my market niche that I want to fill. I want to help sustainable farmers with machines that really can provide good work on their fields. Now the step to electric. When you make a machine like this, so this is our third model. We built 2 prototypes before. You have to concern that the wheels you are seeing now are almost 2 meters, so it is quite a huge tractor. It has a lot of power on the wheels. We build in wheel motors in every wheel. We can drive and steer every wheel, and that makes it a very handsome and very powerful tractor. The cabin is now in the midst. We are building this machine like this now in our workshop in Arnhem in the Netherlands. And later on, maybe the cabin can shift to the front and to the rear, not automatically in the first instance, because all systems will mean weight and extra money. So when farmers really need it, we can build it, but they can mount the cabin themselves just in the front or just in the back or just in the middle. And then complete new possibilities exist with this machine. So for the time being, it is a machine with 4 strong wheel motors. Normally they give some 22 kilowatt hour, and you can double that for a minute of 5 almost, and that is all depending on the cooling. So an electric motor can give you a lot of torque, it can give you a lot of power when you cool it in a nice way. And in that way, you always have a very nice boost system in the tractor. So a normal modern tractor will give you a little button, and then you can boost it for 15 or 20% for some time. Our machine can be boosted with almost 100%. Then we have these big wheels that all can drive and steer. And for the controlled traffic farming, it is just a 380 tire. But of course, you can make these tires wider if you need that or if you want that. To drive electric, we have a battery package. And that is more or less one of the points of our development. With only batteries, you cannot drive an agricultural tractor in this way. When you needed a power source from 80 to 120 kilowatt hour, you cannot do that only with battery packs. That would mean that our full frame was loaded with some 4 Tesla battery packages, and then you could drive as a farmer some 3 or 4 hours. And then after the 3 or 4 hours, you have to go to a charging station where that 3 or 4 battery Tesla packages has to be charged with a fast charger. A fast charger is quite expensive, and then it again takes you 20 minutes to 30 minutes, and then you need 4 fast chargers. So that's an investment of all around 200,000 euro, and you need that on your field, and you cannot ship that. And you need a cable from some electric point to that field. Dus that's all quite impossible, I think, in the practical situation of arable farmers, at least in this country, but I think it is the same in Australia. So we need a range extender. For the time being, we use just a diesel engine with a generator as a range extender. But the development we are working separately now is to make a hydrogen range extender that can be built in the same place as where now the diesel engine is built in. So we have here made a special modular system, a space system, where we can just put a range extender. And in our opinion, it doesn't matter if you put the diesel engine range extender, or you make it with natural gas or biogas. This engine we are using can be fueled by all kinds of gases. And the third way is to do it with a hydrogen stack. And then we are more or less in the coming years, in the near future, where the stack system is already developed. The only thing for agricultural practice is that the price has to come down. When the prices are coming down, and that can be reached by making more than, I think so, 500 to 1,000 units of the same type, then the fuel cell stack system will be at the same level, price level as a diesel engine, and then we really can go on. We will solve the storage system to put just 2 big tanks behind the cabin, or maybe 3 or 4, and then you can drive with this machine 4, 6 or 8 hours, and then you can go to a hydrogen fuel place, just fuel in 10 minutes your complete tractor, and then you can go on. I hope we get the time, but I think in some years that is quite reasonable to do that. As a tractor, it is just a tractor like all other tractors, so it has wheels to pull and to carry. It has a hitch in the front with a PTO, it has a hitch in the back with a PTO, and it has a quite comfortable wide cabin. And people who know the European market can see that this cabin is coming from the Claas factory. It is a quite wide cabin with a lot of space, and it is a good ergonomy. So this is more or less our tractor. And to show what it can, I will change my screen. Let's see how that will work. You are stop sharing. I need to share another one. Where was that? Hey, where is that? All windows. I will do this. Share. Where it is. I will quickly jump to some little pictures just made. How is that working? Let me see. Hey, this has someone made a little. Wait, where is it? This one.
I'm not sure we're seeing your right screen there, Paul. We're seeing a bunch of folders.
Yeah. I'm trying to show you some pictures for the machine, but it is not working. They were moving. So let me first show this then to you. Sorry. In the picture below, you can see this now?
No.
No? Then I have what you are sharing. You are sharing. Can you see it now?
No, we can still only see a screen full of folders. Maybe you're sharing your wrong screen.
Yeah, I will do it like this. I will do it like this. There we go again. There it's coming.
Now we can see your presentation.
Now you can see the presentation again.
Yep, the H2 track.
Yes. Okay. Great. Then I go on with this. It are more or less the same images, so I can go on with my story. In the picture below, you can see more or less how we make that adjustable track width system from 2.25 meters to 3.25 meters. that is built not too complex, but quite strong for making a tractor. You can see a little stair to come up in the cabin. You see the white cabin, and you see that here, this machine doesn't have a nose. So there is no engine in front of your sides. And when we first, in our first prototype, made the tool here in between, so that you could see from the cabin what you were doing, we solved that side problem now by keeping the nose very low, and then from the cabin you have a very good sight on your tools. And then some people say, well, you use a GPS, so you do not need the sight on the tool. But in the intensive arable practice in these countries here in the northwest of Europe, where it is about a lot of money on the field, the farmers really want to be there with their eyes and to follow what all these weeding systems are doing, because when these weeding systems are not exactly there where they need them, that costs them a lot of money. This is also a nice screen, I think, for farmers. Yeah, especially when fields are not that big. So when you have a field in the Netherlands for 300 meters or 400 meters, you have quite a piece of land. And much longer, I think that doesn't exist. So you have to turn every time around. And for that, we made the four-wheel turning and with big angles. And then you can really do very nice cornering with only a radius of some 9.60 meters. And with this kind of machines, that is quite rapid. Here you see the wheel adjustable system again, and also you see more or less the way how we steer these big wheels. These wheels are steered quite independently. So we can just use the two front wheels, then you have front wheel steering. We can steer with the back wheels, then you have back wheel steering, rear wheel steering. And we can steer with four wheels, both in normal steering, then this one is like this and this one is like this, and you have the very tight corner. But you always can do the grab steering. You put these wheels like this, and you can drive anywhere you want. So our tractor can do anything what a normal tractor also can do, but it has some extra possibilities. Well, I think that is more or less my my last sheet. So the question to you is, are there for the time being answers for us for this machine?
Paul, we have a question from Johnny who says there's a group in Australia, Swarm Farm, that are making autonomous tractors, which are now working 24 hours per day. The results being that machines can be smaller. Does autonomous operation change the economics of your machine?
Yes, I do. As I told you about the hydrogen side projects we are doing, we also have on the field of autonomous a kind of side project. We think this machine, because the powertrain is totally controlled electronically, it is quite simple to do that remote, so without a cabin, and to put an autonomous system in place. We are working on that with some partners here in the country. And then indeed you can descale your tractor to smaller sizes, and then for one tractor the energy problem can be solved maybe with batteries. But don't forget that when your field has the same size and your harvest has the same amount, for example with carrots here in the country we do 100 tons for an hectare. With onions we do 60 to 80 tons for an hectare, and with potatoes we do 40 to 80 tons for an hectare. You have to get that amount of load from your field, and you can do that with one bigger machine or with two bigger machines, or you can do that with 20 smaller machines. So at the end the energy problem is the same, more or less the same. So it will indeed influence the system, But for the time being, I think the next 10 or 20 years, the very small machines, for example, the 1-row machine, I think for arable farmers, that is not a solution at all. Because you get a tremendous crowded field with all kind of little machines driving around, and the smaller the machine, it cannot have some pulling force. Yeah, I think it doesn't make sense to get every single carrot with a single carriage from the field. So a certain amount of machine is I think yeah, interested by means of capacity on the field. And the most important reason is that when you use controlled traffic farming and you share the soil with 10 or 11% only for wheels and the rest only for plants, you have both the good harvest quantities and qualities you want to have, and you have separate land for your wheels. And then it doesn't make too much sense to dive under 3000 kg for a machine, we think. So then you can have normal looking machines, but of course with autonomous drive. And then in my personal opinion, I think the next 10 years, there is one operator, one farmer on the field, and he has 2, 3, 4 or 5 of these machines without a cabin around him. And he can see and act when someone is needed, because farming is much more than just robotics on your field, we think at least.
Thanks, Paul. And Scott asks, there is also the advantage of CFT require less power to do the same work. So with your design, what would be the equivalent diesel engine powered tractor as a comparison?
Yeah, we did a lot of study on that, and our first prototype was 220 horsepower, so that was one size bigger. And I think the last 5 years here in the country, up till 5 years, there was no doubt. When you had the money you could invest, you bought a bigger tractor. So every 5 years, tractors became one size bigger. And that is not only the ego of the farmer, it is a big part of it, but not only, it is also driven by money and by capacity on the field. But since some 5 years, there are more and more farmers questioning about the compaction thing. And compaction is a very nasty problem because you don't see it. Your field is nice, leveled, and it is everywhere the same. So on the field it looks good, but in the soil, our harvest development over the years is almost stopped in the northwestern part of Europe. So when I was agricultural student, harvest did grow, I think, yearly for some percents, and that stopped some 10 years ago. And the real scientists think, well, that has to do something with that soil compaction. So we have to find solutions to fight soil compaction. And in my opinion, the best way is to divide the plant and the tire. That is the best and the quickest way to solve the compaction problem. And then not with too small machines, because then you have too much tracks. So do it with a good machine with nice capacity. This machine now has a weight of 7,000 kg, 7 tons. I hope we can produce one of 4 tons later on in the future. And I think, yeah, then the weight is not a problem anymore, and you still have the capacity. And then with that autonomous or semi-autonomous system, we can do a lot of work on our fields.
And Mike says, I'm interested in the position of big manufacturers are taking with electrification. Can you comment on this?
Yes, have a look around, I would say. Go to, I don't know how it is called in Australia, but we call it the Hannover Agritechnica. that is a big party every 2 years for farmers, with 27 hectares of nice colored ironwork on big wheels. And I think 7 years ago, there were some electric events in this big fair. Last year, in 2017, that was the last time, we were there with our second prototype. I think we were the only tractor serious doing something with electric. And we got a lot of attention there. And nowadays, John Deere has some smaller, but I think more public relation related activities in Germany on electric field. But in fact, I think they don't like it, because their expertise they built for 100 years with diesel motors, gearboxes, CVTs and rear axles full of technology, that is their business model. So why should they throw that away and struggle into this? No, I think we have to wait some 10 years. Yeah. So I hope at least 5 years, and that we can fill that gap in between the coming 5 years.
Thanks.
So I did not tell this, but this machine is actually being built here in the Netherlands. And from the summer of 22, we are producing for the world market, so also for Australia, I think. And in 2021, we will have some 10 machines driving around here in the European area.
Thanks, Paul. And Andrew asks, is there a potential to have exchangeable battery banks to shorten refill time and extend operation hours?
I like that question. That was one of my ideas. I think let's make it simple for the farmers. So just get a kind of forklift at the end of the field and then quickly change batteries and go on. And technically that is a great system, but then the economics are coming. When with changeable batteries, you need more batteries. And so that is more money. And you still have to fill them with electricity. You still have to charge them. And what I said, keep in mind that you need 4 Tesla packages to do the work of a machine like this. And then you need 4 fast chargers to charge these batteries. So I think with this capacity, so around 80 kilowatts an hour, and that is not too much on an arable land. The coming 10 years, batteries has to increase dramatically. People are working on it. It will happen, but it will take some time. On the other hand, we have the hydrogen. We did a study like John Deere also did with an extension cord. Of course, that is possible, but an extension cord with a reach of 500 meters, and that is the shortest you need, that also has a weight of 2000 kg, so 2 tons extra weight on your machine, with a very complex system to get that extension cord on the field and pick it up again and don't drive on it. And again, you have the power source problem. So you can make that extension cord, just where on your field do you put that plug? And when you have to make the infrastructure with all kind of electricity plugs around on your fields, that is so costly, you never will do that. You never will do that. So I'm doing this together with my brother. And I'm the technical guy and the agricultural guy, and he's the finance and the businessman. And sometimes I'm laughing to him, and then I said, well, I trapped you in the most difficult market to electrify, and that is the tractor. And then he smiles again to me, and he said, yes, but we will just do it. So I think we made a nice machine. It is working. It can do everything a farmer wants, but the energy problem is only partly solved. So we think the step to hydrogen will be the next one.
Thanks, Paul. That's all the questions in the chat box. I'll hand back over to you, John.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul. That was really good. So you see the transition being currently it's a diesel genset that you're running, and then it might be through powered by gas over time, and then hydrogen fuel cell is the ultimate game.
Yes. So the diesel and the gas variety is deliverable next year and in 2022 also, I think, in your world there. The hydrogen will be a prototype next year, and then we have to see what that can do in production. And that is also, I think, yeah, there is a nice price tag on a hydrogen tractor, that is for sure. But somewhere, yeah, we have to start it with these kind of solutions. Otherwise, we never can get rid of the diesel energy in agriculture world.
Yeah.
And mind you that in the truck world, there are much more initiatives about hydrogen here in Europe and also in the US, maybe also in your country, I don't know. And when a truck can drive on hydrogen, a tractor also can do that. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, it's good. I think in discussions with Neil Thompson earlier in organising this, he was keen to have a chat to you about sourcing fuel cells for your machines and things like that. So I'm sure Neil will chase you down over the next little while and have a chat. So,
Yeah.
no, look, thanks, Paul. That was fantastic, and it's really good insights into the value and the interesting and the developments of what is, I guess, at the moment a fairly novel machine, but it potentially, when you look at the benefits of the electric drive system, it is likely to be the norm over the horizon that we're looking at the minute. So thanks, Heath.
In fact, I did not tell the most important feature for myself. It is, this machine is driving like an electric car. So it is so smooth and comfortable. It is just forwards and backwards and steering with 4 wheels. That is real a play on the field to drive this machine. So it is just a better tractor. Besides the energy, yeah.
Now I picked up your focus on the comfort and the space in the cabin. Sounded pretty significant in the European market. So, yep. Okay, thank you.